All right, let's get started. We'll let them. We'll let people join as they need to. So, I mentioned earlier we started the business in my house. What I didn't say is we used to have 2 tables in my house. There was my kitchen table, and then we moved the couch out, and then there was a table in my living room. We had developers, and we had business consultants. The business consultants all sat at one table. All the developers sat at another table. This is the kids' table right here. This is the kids' table. So I thought it would be really interesting today just to have each one of them introduce themselves. And then I'm going to ask them some questions. And what you have on the stage here is 6 years, probably 100 Odoo implementations. And they've seen your problem or a variant of your problem in the past. And so then I'm gonna ask them some questions. I'm gonna open up for you to ask them questions, and we'll go from there. Start us off, Kari.
Okay, we gotta make sure, is this on? Okay, sounds good. So I'm Kari Osterhaus. I am one of the founders of QOC Innovations. And Paul is right, we had the kids table and the grown-ups table, and let me tell you, the kids table was fun. So we're really happy to all be together. My background actually started in healthcare. I'm a physical therapist, and I got into manufacturing and processes later in life, but I have enjoyed it immensely. And so I love making sure that processes are flowing and that we're really taking into consideration the actual end user. And that's something that I hope we're getting out of this event today, is just the chance to learn together, to ask questions. This is what we want it to be about the real end users and not kind of that high level perfectionism that doesn't reflect reality. So we're excited to be here. Lindsay?
I should have sat at the other end. I'm Lindsay Peters. So I started out at QOC as the only accounting SME. I think we have 5 now. One and only accounting SME. I've got 20 years of experience in accounting, mostly in manufacturing and distribution companies. And now I'm a solutions architect. Happy to be here.
So we have to add to that Lindsay is Chuck Norris of Odoo. And not only does she specialize in accounting and manufacturing accounting, she can write the grant, get you the laser, put the laser together, and then figure out how to run it. So she is Chuck Norris.
I can program a laser. All right, you're up, Travis.
Hi, I'm Travis DeBussy. Like Paul said, been with the company from the beginning. I've been in manufacturing my entire life. I've changed that to entire life instead of how many years. I love solving problems with Odoo. I think it's a fantastic tool, and I'm so proud to be a part of this team. It's really nice to have met all of you today and get to talk with some of you. But just really proud of QOC, and it's been a really great day. So thank you for all your time.
The Charliest. Charlie Schilling, Solution Architect. Been here since 2021 of July. I always say I'm number 5. Come from a manufacturing background of all steel manufacturing, agricultural or structural steel, planning, scheduling, SOP, or not SOP, PSYOPs, master production scheduling, and I love Odoo. I might complain about it because I'm negative Nancy. However, I love troubleshooting and coming up with a crazy customization or multiple operations to do crazy customizations. And the developers tend to think I'm crazy, but most of the time it works out.
So I need to give a little color commentary on Travis and Charlie too. Travis actually went to a customer, and he was there on site working, and they had a product that had to get out the door to one of their customers, and their operator had already left for the day. And Travis said, "Do you have a print?" And they said, "Yes." And he went over and made the part, and they shipped it out. So If you need something produced, Travis has got it. And Charlie has a guy for everything. If you need a guy, Charlie can help you find a guy.
Awesome. So for my first question for this group, for the panel today is, because of my first question, I don't want to name any customers, but what was your hardest Odoo implementation and why? And kind of give context to the team so that, like, what kind of things would you want them to look out for? So why was that the project that you work on the hardest? We'll start from there.
I'll start. It was my first one, local Wisconsin one, and I was a little nervous, and it was going fine until I asked where their inventory was for go live, and they didn't have it. And they're like, well, go out in the shop and find what's his name. Joe has it. Joe's doing it. I walk out there, and Joe's gone. Joe's 8 hours was up, and he went home. And I sat there, and I said, well, guess we're going to have to finish inventory. And they're like, well, we'll do it tomorrow. And I said, no, we don't have time to do it tomorrow. So I went out there, and I did the rest of their inventory. That was very eventful. I knew what kind of shop I was in, but that was probably one of the most challenging ones I've done because it was my first one, and I had to identify parts that I had no clue of their business.
I think my most difficult one, and I've had a couple that are like this, when the customer wants to recreate in Odoo what they don't like in their current ERP because they're used to it. So those are always difficult conversations to have. Sometimes there's valid reasons to continue doing that process, but usually if some of you will see me on a sales call, I'll talk about, we want to understand your processes, and do you need to change to fit Odoo, or do we need to change Odoo to fit you? But always be open to those conversations. If you go into that with a plan of we're just going to improve in accounting, but we're going to keep every other process we have, take the opportunity to rely on some of our manufacturing experts, Todd, Scott, Melody, and really walk through that process, and your transition will be much smoother, and you'll have a much better product at the end of the day.
Looking at you, Charlie.
Probably one of the ones that we did together, right?
Oh man, there's been lots of those. So most challenging, though, I would say would be when a customer came to me and wanted multi-company in a multi-warehouse situation. I don't know who that is, but yeah, because Odoo doesn't do it, right? So the analytics for the warehouses works on the P&L, but it doesn't work on the balance sheet. So trying to figure out all of those different intercompanies and the way that it was gonna flow through the accounting was pretty challenging. So what I would look out for, in general, on your projects, it's planning. Always make sure that you have a plan for the go live. Think about those weird situations that you're going to run into and all the data that you need to bring in, because guaranteed, if you don't plan it, you're going to forget something, and then you have to come up with, how are we going to bring in these receipts for prepaids or some strange situation.
Yeah, those are all really good. I think for me, I don't know if it's one project, but I think something that sticks out is, do we have the right people at the table to tell us what the process actually is or what it needs to be? Because what makes me actually sad in a project is we have a core team with a customer and they get this all mapped out and this is what they want to do, and then we go out to show it to the rest of their group, and they say, we don't do that at all. And that makes me really sad. So I would say make sure you're asking the right questions before you start the project, or you're having the right people involved so that you do know what's happening out in the back corner of the warehouse or what someone might be doing, because, and a lot of times it's completely legitimate. It's, something doesn't work and this is the workaround they use for it. And we want to make sure that those things are part of the solution for for the team.
Awesome. Good answers. I'm going to keep the questions going. Favorite Odoo feature? And let me add to that. Favorite Odoo feature that has impacted a customer in a positive way?
Field service. Base Odoo module field service. It's the best app in Odoo. Absolutely love it. It can, for managing those field service projects, it can be transformative for a business. The way that we can create that, the project template, and we're repeating standard tasks that we expect. For me, it's my favorite module in Odoo.
I'll be super nerdy then. So it's definitely the deferred expenses and the fixed asset module. Absolutely love those because I can. What?
The one you created?
No. I mean, I like the ones I created too. You should really see those because they're pretty cool. But the deferred expenses, it allows you to put a start date and an end date on the vendor bills. And it accrues those into a prepaid and expenses it over the life of that. I think it's pretty awesome. And you get a report showing you all of your outstanding balances in those.
That was very nerdy, but we really enjoyed it.
I like accounting.
Push those glasses up. Charlie?
Go ahead.
Mine's a little selfish. I think mine is probably the expenses and how easy it is to do on your phone, because Paul was a consultant for many years and I hated his receipts either hanging around or not getting turned in. So I love the expenses app because it's so easy to use.
I'll go with the inventory app. Pretty nerdy. Routes, configurable, transfers, packages, scanning, moving stuff. I don't think you can go wrong.
Questions for the team up here? Who's got a question? Go ahead. I'm going to give the mic so everybody can hear you really clearly.
Do you guys use Odoo to run the business?
Yes, we do.
And what's your most valuable module? Like, have you had to make your own?
Projects and expenses.
But yeah, we eat our own dog food or drink our own champagne, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, but if I could add to that, like, it was about 2 years ago that we were growing immensely, and I said, okay, we need to stop. Like, we need to, like, we're either all in Odoo for ourselves or not, and that's what we did. And now all of our standard operating procedures are in the Knowledge app. We all of our accounting's there. We use the CRM. We use the website. There's actually nothing that we do that's not in Odoo app, which is
So I'm going to
pretty cool.
I'm going to challenge you and say a couple of things to that. So we actually found Odoo because we wanted to use it for our business. We were looking for something for our business, and it worked great because we were doing some manufacturing. In fact, until this year, we have been doing side manufacturing. But we do use Google for our email, but other than that, we have made a concerted effort to use Odoo, and because we need to know how our customers feel. And if we're expecting you to do it, then we should absolutely be able to do it ourselves.
But if we also didn't use Odoo, we'd have to have a help desk solution. We'd have to have a accounting package. We'd have to have a CRM. We'd have to, right? And now we have it all in one. It's a good question. Other questions from the group? We are in version 18. We're SaaS, we're .sh. Really eating the dog food. Other questions?
For non-users, what is the difference between Prem and what was the other one? SH? What's the difference between those?
All right, yeah. Did you catch that? For 9 users, what's the difference between .sh and on-prem?
For non-users.
For 9 users.
Oh, what's the
number.
difference?
No, they haven't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I heard wrong.
To Odoo, so just the difference.
The difference between .sh and on-premise.
So .sh is on the cloud. It's got, for your type of business. It's got the basic securities that you need. You have access to your database. You can get your downloads. There's nothing wrong with being on-prem, usually on the front side, on the sales side. My suggestion is if you already have the infrastructure and you have the team that can support it, on-prem is just fine. If it's something you would have to invest in, I generally recommend people to host it on Odoo's cloud.
There's also like some people who want more control over their data, right? They're going to do it on-prem, or larger companies who need more power behind it.
The only drawback I'd say to that is in this area, as Wisconsin, you can count on your internet being down probably twice a year. So if you're at a point running a shop that you can do that, that's fine. But even if it's 5 nines, that's 9 hours out of the year that you could be missing your ERP system.
Yep, it's valid point.
But .sh also does your backups every day for you. It has your staging branches when you want to rebuild. You don't have to have your IT department do it for you. I love .sh, especially for a 9-user new Odoo instance. I would.
Or you could have Jim come do it for you and just press a button to get your staging branch.
That's right. Okay, other questions? Scott, you got the team up here. You can ask them any questions, Scott, and you're not going to take a swing?
I'm curious. I would actually love to hear, but it might be in your closing remarks. You can talk about QOC, kind of the state of QOC, and where we see QOC in the future.
I was going to start talking about that at the end. Yeah.
Then I'll ask Travis who his favorite salesperson is.
It's you, Scott. You're my buddy. Renee, you're not bad.
Wow.
I want to know, did we stump the help desk? Did anybody win
I think somebody's in there right now trying to stump
Okay.
them.
Trevor went in and stumped Tow Truck. He asked him how much was the Amazon gift card, and Tow Truck didn't know. He's like, stumped you.
Paul, I do have a real question.
Okay.
So when you guys have done implementations as you've worked with customers, do you see times where they come to us for, manufacturing, inventory, accounting, and then all of a sudden they start branching out and using other modules that kind of fit some of their practices? So maybe for those in the room that have, pinpointed the ones that they need to run their business, have they expanded into some other things, and what have you seen?
Yeah, I actually had an interesting conversation with Leroy where, new to Odoo, and we do this with a lot of our customers. Can I sell stuff? Can I make stuff? Can I buy stuff? Can I ship it? Can I invoice it? I'm good. Phase 1 complete. Get into the system. Now you kind of know what you know how it works. Oh, let's start using the CRM module. Let's start using the project. And we just turn on those apps, and since it's all native to Odoo, it just integrates seamlessly. So if we can hit that core of your business and then grow it from there, I think that's kind of one of the best approaches to doing an implementation.
That's our recommendation. We'd rather just start off with let's get you functioning in Odoo as an operation, and then let's go after all the other things that are going to make efficiencies, but let's not try to boil the ocean out of the gate. Go ahead, Todd.
So what part of the process do the customers more likely want to skip that you say, no, you cannot skip this part?
Accounting.
Not go live.
Mock go live.
Mock go live.
I've had some want to skip the discovery too.
Yeah, that's another one I would not skip.
All right, so Charlie, take us through what a mock go live is and why it's important and what's our process there.
Oh, mock go live. So we would have had our main database fully configured with all the settings that we've tested out from a staging branch. We would have loaded their products, customers, vendors, chart of accounts, blah, 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 right? We would rebuild our UAT, and we would map out a checklist of every action of how we're going to get through a real go live. We will ask you for maybe a previous month's closing, correct? Balance sheet, load your inventory, compare your inventory valuation to your inventory to make sure it matches. Because a lot of times, the inventory costs on your products don't match your real valuation that you give to us on the balance sheet, which is fine. But you're going to run through the whole process, and you're going to find out that, man, I got a bunch of errors on customers. I got errors on products because they don't match. Internal references changed, stuff like that. You're going to make note, and we're going to learn from those experiences. But the main thing is can we get it in? Can we operate? And then the last part would be did our accounting come through? And then after that, you're going to do the no-go check. And that's why you don't do a mock go live the week before a go live. You do it in enough time so you can make your changes to make sure your database is going to be successful. Obviously, there's always stuff that's missed or maybe overlooked. However, you don't want to have that number of topics and items so big when you go live, because going live is going to be very stressful on your employees and ready. So I think that, what else did I miss?
Could I add something to that? Make sure that employees that are doing the work are part of the actual transaction.
Love that.
Yeah, 100%. And like we're going to run it, quote to cash through there, because what we want is that go live. I want that to be as much of a non-event as possible. I want it to be calm. I want the switches to be flipped. We're live, and we're good to go.
We should not be going to go live wondering if it's going to go well.
Correct.
Right? We should have already done our mock go live is go live. Right? It's a test.
Can I just make a comment? Paul Travis and I did a go live once where there wasn't really a mock go live as the customer. So it wasn't Odoo.
Yeah, so let's
it
go
wasn't
back in the
QOC.
time a little bit. This is pre-QOC
We were the
days.
customer.
Yeah, we were the customer.
And literally, we had like 2 hours of sleep the night before, and we had no idea if it was going to turn out. And we never want our customers to feel like that, ever, because it's not fun.
It was an interesting month.
Yeah.
Times 3.
Weeks later.
Yeah.
Other questions? Okay. I don't need to draw this out, so I just want to make sure that if you've got something, if we want to linger later, that's totally fine. But I just want to hear out if anybody's got a question. Go ahead, Dan.
I attended some sessions with that, more relevant because of AI. And I can see the value it's going to have, importance, and weight it's going to carry. But to expound on that, how much is it QOC that's pushing AI? How much is Odoo going to depend on the AI? What should we expect? Because we will first start entering that bucket because
Yeah.
AI, and I'm looking very forward to the knowledge that I have.
Sure.
So what's our team expect
Yeah.
from you and
It's a great question, Dan. It's a great question. So, version 20, am I right? No, version 19's out. Sorry. I get all my mixed. Version 19's out. That's what that conversation was about. It's really started to introduce AI agents, and that's what I think Melody covered in that class, right? Okay, so I think that was still Melody, right? Okay. We expect, right? We don't own Odoo. We expect, and what we're seeing is Odoo is going to continue to invest heavily in AI, right? Usually that's what we see. The first version of a new feature comes out, which was 19, which is out right now. And the next version is going to be more AI. The next version is going to be more AI, right? So we expect that to be, now, AI is great as a acronym, but actually implementing is going to be different, right? How do you actually get value for your organization out of AI? That's what our job is going to be. If you've sensed QOC, we've been hesitant to go forward with version 19 because of some of the accounting changes that they've made, right? We've had to come up with a solution. We're pushing back on Odoo on them, right? They're a negative consequence for some of our larger manufacturer. We think we're going to get to a resolution there. But what you're going to see from QOC is we're investing in people coming up to speed with how are we going to help our customers implement AI in the right way for them, right? It's just not a tool we're going to turn on and just say, good luck. We've got We've got to figure out what is the right approach for that, right? I think 20, I will see. I won't see until probably September, but I'm hoping there's more AI around the inventory, the MRP, that side of it. I'm guessing it's going to be more around like automating help desk tickets and automating emails and that kind of stuff, but I'm not sure yet. But we're going to help guide you through that process. Is that fair? Yeah.
May I add to that a little bit? I don't know. Did you want to add anything? I was just going to say the AI can give us a ton of information, but we want to make sure that that is information that we can utilize to make better business decisions. And so that to go, I mean, when Paul's saying, you know, we want to help you, guide you, help you make sure that you're utilizing it in a way that's actually useful and not just cluttering the information.
Or the AI is not giving you misinformation or guiding you in misdirections or your staff in misdirections. That's my biggest concern, right? We need to make sure that the models are working in the right way for you. Okay, other questions? This is a great conversation. You guys are good, thank you.